For a man who spent half a century shaking the world as the Rolling Stones' electric, unpredictable guitarist, it's almost surreal that his life now slows down on a quiet patch of West Sussex land. Redlands Farm holds everything he values today: old brick walls, low beams, open fields, and a calm that softens the hands once raised to roaring stadiums. A simple farmhouse, no noise, no demands, just breath. But before we step inside the house, let's take a moment to share the journey that shaped the man he is today. Keith Richards was born on December 18, 1943, in Dartford, Kent, a small, ordinary town where days felt simple and quiet. He was an only child, gentle and observant, and music entered his life early thanks to one person, his grandfather, Gus Dupree. Gus had spent years playing jazz across Britain, and when he placed a guitar in young Keith's hands, it felt less like a gift and more like a quiet promise. Keith never let go of it again. He grew up close to Mick Jagger. Two boys on the same street, sharing the same corners, the same childhood air. They drifted apart when Keith moved away, but life has its own rhythm. Years later, on a train, Keith spotted Mick again, this time with a stack of blues records tucked under his arm. Chuck Berry, Muddy Waters, the same sounds Keith loved. Their old friendship slipped back into place as if it had been waiting. From that moment, music carried them forward. Keith met Dick Taylor while studying at Sidcup Art College, and the three began playing together in small, unremarkable rooms that somehow felt important. Then Brian Jones invited them to the Bricklayers Arms pub. Inside that cramped space, buzzing with voices, warm with cheap beer, heavy with blues, the first version of the Rolling Stones took shape. Nothing fancy, just a few young men chasing a sound that felt true to them. They signed with Decca Records in 1963. And when Brian Jones left the band in 1969, the center shifted toward Keith and Mick. Their partnership, complicated at times but deeply creative, became the heartbeat of the Stones. Over the next decades, they wrote the songs, shaped the tone, and carried the band through more than 100 albums and thousands of shows. Keith's guitar became its own kind of compass, steady, raw, unmistakable. He found room to express himself beyond the band, too. His solo music, from his first 1978 single to the later Expensive Winos albums, sounded looser, more personal. Talk Is Cheap and Main Offender carried the feel of late-night sessions with friends. Years later, Cross-Eyed Heart arrived in 2015, soft at the edges, honest in its center. Behind the scenes, Keith produced records for artists he respected, Aretha Franklin, Ronnie Spector, and started his own label, Mindless Records. And in a strange, perfect twist, he stepped onto a movie set to play Captain Teague in Pirates of the Caribbean, a character Johnny Depp openly modeled after him. Keith barely had to act. He simply showed up as himself. His journey settles into a slow, familiar rhythm, the kind that follows a musician through decades on the road. As the stage lights dim, the noise thins out, leaving one place still steady beneath it all. Redlands Farm, the quiet ground that waited for him. Warm Farm in Redlands. Redlands Farm doesn't rush to impress you. It rises quietly behind the wooden gates, an old 15th century manor resting in the soft countryside of West Wittering. Keith Richards has lived here since 1966, and you can feel it. Not in the walls, but in the calm. This is where he and his family slip into a slower rhythm, far from the chaos that once shadowed every tour. The gravel driveway winds gently toward the house, the sound underfoot almost comforting. Garages sit to one side, one turned into a relaxed recreation space, the other kept for everyday use. A small woodshed leans into the landscape as if it has always belonged there. Nothing looks curated. Everything feels steady, familiar. Stone steps lift you into the rear entrance, where travertine floors cool the space with a quiet elegance. The hallway moves softly into the dining room and cloakroom, and a utility room sits neatly off to the side. Simple, functional, the kind of room families weave in and out of without thinking. Patty drifting through in the mornings, checking on small things only someone who truly keeps a home would notice. Just beyond the quieter corner of the landing sits a small workroom Keith has kept for himself. Not grand, not staged, just a real space where things accumulate because they matter to him. Guitars lean casually in one corner, some polished, some worn to the wood, and a narrow shelf carries boxes of picks, strings, notebooks, and tiny objects he has collected over decades on the road. A little room where habit, history, and instinct live together quietly, giving him just enough space to think without leaving the comfort of home. The family room sits just beyond, now a study, holding a kind of gentle silence. Across the hall, the living room feels warmer, deeper. Curtains soften the light, and the open fireplace, with its wood-burning stove, draws you in. On slower afternoons, Keith often settles here with Patty, both of them letting the fire fill the space with that easy, wordless comfort long marriages tend to know. The dining room keeps the same feeling, low, warm, quietly confident. Then a few steps down, everything brightens. The kitchen feels like a fresh breath, quartz countertops catching daylight from the skylight, underfloor heating adding a subtle warmth, and bifold doors that open straight into the garden. It's the spot where breakfasts linger, where the family gathers without ceremony. Upstairs, 4 bedrooms trace the shape of the old house. The master, with its decorative fireplace and soft sisal carpet, feels especially grounded, peaceful in a way hotels never could be for a man who spent half his life living out of them. The family bathroom, with its tall shower and separate bath, offers the kind of quiet luxury that makes you slow down without trying. Outside, half an acre of garden wraps around the home. Not manicured within an inch of its life. Not overly arranged. Just green, gentle, and open. The kind of place where the family walks barefoot on warm days, where afternoons stretch longer than they do anywhere else. Life at Redlands Farm moves in a quiet rhythm that fits Keith and his family perfectly. But when they crave open skies and the easy comfort of the ocean, they drift down to Rocky Point, a coastal refuge where mornings stretch long and peace feels effortless. Gorgeous mansion in Grace Bay. Rocky Point doesn't announce itself. It appears slowly, rising out of a wide sweep of green where the turquoise water of Grace Bay shifts colors with the sun. Set on 7.5 private acres, the 9,000-square-foot villa sits behind tall palms and a 300-foot stretch of white sand. From a distance, it has the calm grace of a classic West Indies home. Pale stone, soft wooden roofs, and French windows that breathe in the ocean air. This is where Keith Richards comes when he wants the world to quiet down, when he wants mornings made of light, wind, and nothing else. Inside, the house greets you with gentleness. A curved stone staircase winds upward, its dark iron railing catching warm light. Thin windows high above draw in the breeze, and the whole space feels unhurried. A soft pause before the rest of the home opens. The living areas unfold like a long, easy breath. One lounge, brushed in seafoam greens and sandy whites, frames the pool and the ocean just beyond it. Doors fling open, letting the day spill inside. Another room, quieter, leans into deeper tones and woven textures, built for long conversations or slow evenings after the sun fades. The kitchen glows with bright, simple energy. White cabinets, a dark stone island, and windows framing bougainvillea and palms. From here, the house drifts into a dining room filled with soft coastal light. Some evenings, Keith and his family gather on the terrace grill, passing around platters of fresh island seafood, while the air smells faintly of salt and butter. It's the kind of meal that doesn't need a story. Just people sitting close, laughing, letting the night settle. Upstairs, the bedrooms become sanctuaries. The main master suite sits beneath a vaulted, washed wood ceiling with a four-poster bed in pure white. Doors open to a terrace that looks out over the lawn, the pool, and the quiet line where sky meets water. A private massage room sits inside, a small detail that signals the slower rhythm Keith has grown into. The remaining rooms each carry their own softness. Ocean view rooms, garden view rooms, and guest spaces that feel effortless and airy. Outside, the villa finally reveals its full spirit. Stone paths glide around trimmed greenery toward the beach, where the shallow water is safe enough for Keith's grandchildren to run in and out of the surf without worry. Some afternoons, you'll see the whole family scattered along the shoreline. Kids chasing waves, Keith laughing from a beach chair, the breeze pulling at his hair like it did decades ago. The pool sits quietly at the center, pale tile, soft shadows, sun loungers that face the horizon. Farther out, the 100-foot dock reaches into water so clear it looks almost unreal, with kayaks and paddleboards waiting for another slow morning. Here, everything slows. The light, the tide, even Keith himself. But beyond this calm, another world waits. Faster, louder, and driven by the machines he chose with instinct, not logic. Now we head to his car collection. Car collection. Car collection. First is the Bentley S3 Continental Flying Spur, a car that has followed Keith Richards longer than almost any other. Today, its value can reach around $500,000, but the number matters far less than the feeling it gives inside. The 6.2-liter V8 doesn't hurry. It settles into a low, steady growl meant for long, unbroken stretches of road. Step into the cabin and it feels less like a vehicle and more like a familiar room. Polished wood, soft leather, and a calm hum that never tries to impress. People often spot Keith in the back seat, leaning comfortably, laughing with friends as the Bentley drifts through the city. It isn't built for speed. It's built for ease, a perfect match for a man who never rushes. Next comes the Mercedes-Benz S-Class, a car many overlook because of how quietly it moves. Priced at about $110,000, it doesn't ask for attention. The exterior glides through traffic without raising a single eyebrow, and the interior, pale leather, gentle lighting, and deep insulation, feels like stepping into a softer world. Keith often arrives at events in this car, stepping out in a loose shirt, a scarf hanging low, sunglasses set just right. There is no performance in the way he exits, just a steady, unbothered presence. The S-Class isn't there to make a statement. It's there to make everything easier. Finally, there's the Mercedes-Benz V-Class, usually costing around $90,000, and easily the most practical car he owns. Tall, simple, and without a hint of flash, it's built for movement more than style. Inside, the seats swivel, the space opens wide, and the van becomes a small, moving workspace, perfect for travel days, rehearsals, and long airport runs. It may be the least glamorous car in his garage, but it's the one that understands his lifestyle best. Built for work, built for travel, built for constant motion. Seen as a whole, his garage tells a simple truth. Keith Richards travels the world the same way he plays music, steady, unfussed, and true to himself. And to understand the engine behind that steady life, we shift toward his income and net worth. Income and net worth. With a towering net worth of $600 million, Keith Richards stands firmly among music's richest legends. His fortune wasn't a stroke of luck. It grew from 6 decades of relentless touring, hit after hit, and a catalog so valuable it keeps earning long after the amps cool down. The Rolling Stones have always been the engine behind it all. Since co-founding the band in 1962, Richards and Mick Jagger have written most of its original music, becoming one of the most profitable songwriting duos ever. With more than 200 million records sold and a touring power that refuses to fade, the Stones still dominate. Even in 2018, more than 50 years in, they pulled in $117 million from just 14 shows. A reminder that their name alone can still shake entire stadiums. Richards earns from every ticket, stream, merch drop, and every publishing check tied to classics like Satisfaction, Paint It Black, Angie, and many more. His solo work adds a quieter but steady layer. Albums like Talk Is Cheap showed he could hold an audience on his own, bringing in touring income and publishing royalties that never really stopped. After decades across vinyl, CDs, downloads, and now streaming, his solo catalog still brings in an estimated $2 to $4 million a year. A calm, reliable stream that never dries out. Real estate is the more understated pillar. Richards owns a main estate in Weston, Connecticut, a private villa on Parrot Cay in Turks and Caicos, and Redlands, the Sussex property he bought in 1966 for about $780,000. Homes in the area now sell for several million. Nearby, Cate Blanchett's $4.68 million purchase gives a sense of the market. Combined, his properties likely sit comfortably in the multi-million-dollar range. And then there's the thing only Keith Richards could accumulate: about 3,000 guitars. Some are tied to legendary tours, others are rare vintage pieces worth 6 figures each. No official number exists, but experts estimate the entire collection could easily top $10 to $20 million. His annual income shifts with the Stones' schedule, but between royalties, publishing, touring cycles, and property appreciation, Richards often brings in $30 to $60 million during peak years. It's wealth shaped by endurance, craft, and a work ethic far stronger than the myths that follow him. After decades of loud shows and long tours, Keith settles into a slower rhythm. And once the noise drops away, the man behind the legend feels different, softer, more patient, more giving. This is the point where the story shifts, leading us into the charitable side of his world. Philanthropy. One of the places where Keith Richards shows the most heart is in the world he came from. For years, he has quietly supported MusiCares, the Jazz Foundation of America, UNICEF, and the World Food Program, often donating performance fees or sending private gifts that rarely appear in headlines. Over time, his contributions to artist and relief-focused charities are estimated to exceed $1 million. In 2008, he redirected his entire Louis Vuitton campaign payment, believed to be around $500,000, to the Climate Project, turning a luxury endorsement into an act of environmental responsibility. His support for the planet stretches further. Richards has donated to ocean protection groups like Project Zero and the La Mer Blue Heart Ocean Fund, both dedicated to reef restoration and marine conservation. Artists at his level typically give in the low 6 figures, and industry estimates place his combined environmental contributions at roughly $500,000. In Connecticut, where he has lived for decades, he has steadily backed community programs for adults with disabilities. Through longtime support for Sphere and the Prospector Theater, Richards is believed to have donated more than $100,000, helping sustain job training programs and inclusive arts initiatives that don't usually receive national coverage. His presence alone can shift the scale of a fundraiser. At Love Rocks NYC, the annual benefit for God's Love We Deliver, Richards helped anchor a night that raised nearly $2 million. While his personal donation wasn't disclosed, musicians of his class typically contribute $250,000 to $500,000 to such events, and the visibility he brings is often worth even more. When global crises hit, he steps up. After the Haiti earthquake in 2010, Richards joined the Hope for Haiti Now campaign, where participating artists generally donated between $50,000 and $150,000. The telethon ultimately raised over $60 million, with Richards adding both money and global attention to a moment of urgent need. Books have always been a refuge for him, so literacy became another natural focus. Over the years, Richards has supported library programs in both the US and the UK, including key contributions to the Westport Library in Connecticut. His giving in this area likely totals around $200,000 to $400,000, funding reading rooms, children's programs, and free access to books. Taken together, his philanthropy reveals a pattern of consistent, meaningful support, delivered without fanfare but with real impact. From here, it's a natural step into the part of his story that rarely makes headlines, the private life he guards so carefully. Personal life. At Redlands Ranch, Keith Richards' life moves slowly. Most mornings start slowly. Patty Hansen beside him, sunlight filtering through the old wood floors, the house waking up in its own gentle way. Their daughter and grandchild wander through the rooms at different hours, bringing giggles, creating the comfort that only family can provide. When the wall starts to get too quiet, the family retreats to their home on Parrot Cay. The photos tell it all. Keith in loose-fitting beach shorts, Patty holding the dog under her arm, toddlers dipping their feet in the warm sand, everyone laughing at stories that don't require jokes. Out there, he's not a guitar legend. He's just a grandpa on the beach, letting the tide and wind slow things down. The evenings could look completely different. Long dinners, Patty leaning in, her wine glass catching the light. And then, somewhere between dessert and midnight, the old spark reappeared. Keith picked up his guitar, leaned toward it as usual, and strummed a chord that silenced everyone around him for a moment. The music never left him. It seemed to flow into the room like an old friend. The turmoil he had been through, drugs, arrests, the press, now seemed distant. Age and family had smoothed the edges. He kept things simple. A small glass of wine, a light cigarette, and a piece he once thought only others could have. What remained was the real Keith, steadfast, loyal, and closely tied to the family who supported him. If you want to know what our next story is, leave your name in the comments. And as always, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more videos.